In every news cycle, there are stories that behave less like headlines and more like gravitational wells, pulling everything and everyone into their orbit. The Epstein files are one of those stories. They resurface again and again with the same effect: a spike in attention, a frenzy of speculation, and a collective sense that something enormous is unfolding just out of view. But what if the real story isn't only what's inside the files, but what if it's what's happening all around them? According to a 2025 analysis by political scientist Andrew J. Peterson, major scandals don't just dominate the news, they actively reshape political communication. Peterson's study found that when Epstein coverage surged, Donald Trump's public messaging shifted measurably, deviating from baseline patterns by nearly a third of a standard deviation over just 4 days. That kind of shift is statistically meaningful, especially over such a short time frame. This isn't proof of coordination or intent, but it is evidence of effect. And when a story consistently produces effects like that, it's worth asking why. A story too big to ignore, too convenient to waste. The Epstein saga is vast by design. It spans decades, jurisdictions, sealed settlements, destroyed evidence, and an ever-expanding cast of powerful figures. The newly released files only deepen that sense of scale. PBS describes them as the most detailed look yet into the Epstein investigations. A sprawling archive of police reports, recordings, and federal documents stretching back over 20 years. It's the kind of story that feels bottomless, and bottomless stories are uniquely useful. They demand attention without offering closure. Each new release promises answers while raising even more questions. The result is sustained outrage, sustained speculation, and sustained engagement, often without sustained accountability. Media researchers have long observed that Epstein coverage moves in waves rather than straight lines. The Epstein Wiki timeline doesn't just catalog revelations, it also documents the long silences, periods when leads went cold, coverage stalled, or public interest drifted elsewhere. Those gaps weren't incidental. According to the timeline, they were part of how Epstein avoided meaningful exposure for so long. Silence, in this case, was not absence, it was strategy. The attention economy and the power of saturation.
So 3 million pages of documents, 180,000 images, and 2,000 videos. The latest
modern media doesn't just report reality, it filters it through attention, and attention is finite. When one story expands to fill the available space, others inevitably disappear. That's where saturation becomes a form of power. A scandal like Epstein's is emotionally overwhelming. It triggers disgust, anger, moral panic, and conspiracy thinking all at once. That emotional load makes it harder for audiences to process slower, more technical stories, policy shifts, regulatory changes, or legal precedents that don't come with shocking names or salacious details.
There are several photographs in which Epstein is visible, but faces of victims have been redacted to protect.
Peterson's findings suggest that this isn't just a media phenomenon. It bleeds into political behavior itself. When Epstein coverage spikes, political messaging changes, priorities shift, talking points mutate. The public conversation narrows around a single axis, even as other decisions continue quietly in the background. In other words, the system doesn't pause while we're distracted, it adapts. None of this diminishes the reality of Epstein's crime or the suffering of his victims. Accountability matters, transparency matters, justice matters, but obsession without resolution has consequences. When outrage becomes cyclical rather than directional, it can exhaust the public without empowering it. When every revelation is framed as the key that will unlock the whole truth, disappointment becomes inevitable, and cynicism follows close behind. Meanwhile, structural issues remain stubbornly unexamined. How plea deals are negotiated, how wealth shapes legal outcomes, how institutions protect themselves when failure would implicate too many people at once. These questions are harder, they're slower, and they don't trend as well. The quiet hum beneath the story. The Epstein story dominates because it feels like a secret just about to be revealed. But perhaps its real function is not revelation, it's absorption. A story that can absorb infinite attention is a story that can coexist with almost anything else happening at the same time. The unsettling possibility isn't that the Epstein files hide nothing. It's that while we're staring into them, we may not notice what's moving quietly in the dark around us. If you like this video, then you'll really love the next one. Peace.